Honorable Holphe.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Minister, unfortunately, you are not going to be bound by the reactionary component of the Constitution. This is our land. And as we are honoring our Commandant Fidel Castro, the President of Cuba, we are still saying to him, we are still going to continue with the spear of fighting for black people in this country. As the EFF Cardinal Pillar 1 says, we must expropriate land without competition. And then, Minister, let me just remind you that when the ANC first came into power in 1994, they promised to distribute 30% of the land back to black people by 1999 through a market-led land reform program. By 1999, the achievement of their land reform program was so negligible that Ms. Togo Didiza, our House Chair here, when she came in as a Minister of Land Affairs, even put a moratorium on their land distribution program until they figure out what to do, because there was no clear direction as ANC when you took over power. The 30% target was shifted so many times that no one today speaks of it, and only 9% of the land has been transferred back to black people after 22 years of democracy, Minister. What needs to ask ourselves, Minister, right now is this primary. Why do we need land reform in South Africa? Is it only a matter of equity in land holding? Is it only a matter of restructuring our agrarian economy to make our agriculture vibrant or dynamic? Or is it a matter of justice for past wrongs? If, as we argue as the EFF, the land question in South Africa is primarily a matter of justice, and all these factors, important as they may be, are only secondary, then we need to ask ourselves, why has the liberation movement not moved to redress historical injustice? The land reform program since 1994 has been fraught with difficulties since its inception. The pace of land reform has been frustratingly slow, and this is attributable to the government willings buyer and willings principle and willing seller, which has been criticized heavily by many, including the ANC itself. At the center of the present crisis with the land question in South Africa is the property clause in the Constitution, which protects private property rights, even against the constitutional commitment to land reform. We cannot therefore seek to redress past injustice by asking victims of dispossession to pay for land that was illegally acquired in the first instance, Minister. We argue that the constitutional provision to compensate for expropriation is inimical to the country's commitment to land reform and historical redress. The land question is directly linked to the national question, which is about overcoming the colonial tribal divisions, apartheid, artificial identity, and to this white supremacy. The resolution of the national question is basically about creating new society based on values of equality and democracy for all. The first and fundamental process toward decolonizing South Africa land ownership is the return of land through the principle of land expropriation without compensation. The land belongs to the people as a whole and must be returned to the people as such. This principle goes beyond the limitation of the willing buyer, willing seller, and also resolve the colonial idiom over land ownership and control once and for all. Any resolution of the land question that does not conform to this logic is bound to prolong colonial. Okay. It is for this reason that the EFF will call to all South Africans to go and occupy any lands that they see. Thank you.
Honorable Member.